Hello folks, my name is Mark and this is Mark's Movie Reviews. How's it going? And this is a review of Deadpool, so if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's actually pretty good. So first impressions is, well, this movie is everything that you think it's going to be. Everything that you would think a Deadpool movie would encompass. You know, lots of swearing, lots of four-letter words. Actually rather gory. The opening, there's the opening scene where they're on this freeway and Deadpool is like basically fighting these guys inside of an SUV and it like flips over and, you know, they up the gore count to 11, you know. One guy gets his freaking head chopped off and like, you know, he shoots through 3 dudes in a row and it's, you know, pretty gnarly, but, you know, we expected that pretty much to happen. And I thought it was, you know, really well done. Ryan Reynolds nails it for sure. He's actually really good in this, and it most definitely redeems the fiasco when he played the character in, you know, Wolverine Origins, right? In fact, they actually lampoon that for a second. They show that he owns that action figure. So I don't know if that means that, you know, Wolverine Origins is just like not canon anymore or what. I don't know. Who cares really, but I don't know. I think that's kind of funny. You know, probably not. I mean, it's the whole nature of Deadpool is that he breaks the fourth wall all the time, and the whole thing about Deadpool is that he knows that he's a comic book character, you know. And they do a lot of that too in this movie. There's lots of little scenes here and there where he's like, you know, like, for example, like, they go to the X mansion, right, Charles Xavier's mansion, and he's like, hey, this is a really big house, and I only ever see 2 of you guys here. Like, it's almost like the producers couldn't afford more than one, you know, couldn't afford more than 2 characters or something like that, and it's pretty funny. It nails it. There was, you know, there's also lots of steamy, sexy time type scenes in this movie, which I really wasn't expecting. I mean, you don't really see in superhero movies, you don't really see a lot of TNA. And actually in this movie you don't even really see anything either. It's just the fact that it's even there is like, that kind of threw me for a loop. I mean, I knew there was going to be gore and I figured there'd probably be some kind of like, you know, sex scene, but it's like, you know, and the thing is, it's not even really that explicit. It's actually, like, if it was any other movie, you'd just be like, oh, there's a whole 2 people banging, and you know, the fact that it's in a superhero movie, you're like, oh, it's so racy. And I think that if I had a criticism for this movie, I think that would be it. They kind of, you know, yes, I'm drinking a beer. Fuck you. Okay. They, anyway, if I had a criticism in this movie, that would be it. It would be that they kind of, you can kind of tell that they're trying to push the envelope, you know, to what they think would be racy, you know what I mean? So lots of F words and you know, the sex scene and it's gory and blah 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 blah, and they're trying to push it. And the thing is, it's like, it's only racy because it's a superhero movie. Like, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself here, but whatever. I've heard other criticisms about this movie where it is strangely empty of content. And what I mean by that is the whole movie is basically, there's a shootout on a bridge, then a big long flashback, and then Deadpool goes to the final end boss, you know, and does the shootout on top of a helicarrier, which we'll come to that later. And that's pretty much it. It's like, you know, that's the whole fucking movie. So, but, I don't know, I still think it was pretty well done. You know, the flashbacks were good, and his origin story was pretty accurate to the comics, I think. And, you know, it was Fox taking a page from Marvel on how to do a movie right. You know, they didn't change the character around. You know, that's always a criticism that I think, you know, that I throw at X-Men movies, is that they change the source material too much. You know, and it's sort of like the Marvel ones from the actual Marvel Studios like aren't afraid to stick to the source material, and I think that's what makes this one really good, is that they stick to the source material. You know, he's wisecracking, he breaks the fourth wall, you know. I think what could have made it better, actually, is if they were to just, like, actually have more of that, you know. For example, there's a homage to Bob, Agent of Hydra, but they can't actually call him that because Hydra's belong, Hydra, they'd have to license that from Marvel, so they couldn't actually call him Bob Agent of Hydra. They couldn't even have him in there, so they just sort of do a homage to it. There's like a little scene where he's shooting a bunch of guys, and then he sees, he's like, hey, Bob, and then the other guy's like, oh, hey, Wade, what's up? And then, he just knocks him out or whatever. And instead of Bob Agent of Hydra, there's like this bartender that kind of fills the role. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, that's cool. It still works really well, but it would have been better to actually have Bob Agent Hydra. Similarly, like at the end, there's the big shootout is on a helicarrier, and it's basically the SHIELD helicarrier that crashed in Captain America: Winter Soldier, except they can't call it that, so it doesn't have any of the SHIELD branding, but that's what it is. I mean, it's a freaking aircraft carrier with, jet pistons on it, right? It looks just fucking like it. It just doesn't have any logos on it. I mean, it's the fucking helicarrier. So I guess, that's kind of cool. It looks like that they're trying to make an effort at least to cross these guys over, and I sincerely hope they do one day, because how awesome would that be to have Deadpool show up in the Avengers or something like that, or to have, Captain America show up in a fucking, X-Men movie or something. That would just be like the bomb. I mean, and who cares? Like, that's another thing you hear from people, like, well, how are they going to cross it over with blah, 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 and what were the Avengers doing during the fucking invasion in 2012, and who gives a shit? I don't care. I don't care about any of that shit. The X-Men continuity is all fucked up anyway, so if that's what you give a shit about, then you shouldn't care. I just want to see Wolverine fighting next to Captain America and Spider-Man fighting next to Colossus. That would be cool. Speaking about Colossus, so Colossus was the X-Men that they used, and then also another character was Teenage Atomic Warhead or some shit like that. I've never actually heard of that one. I don't really read X-Men very much. It's too fucking sappy for me, That's the problem with the X-Men, comics, is that they're always so dramatic and drama and, oh, I'm oppressed and mutants and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, there's not enough ass kicking in them, so I don't really, I don't know. I'd have, maybe between 20 to 50 issues of it, Probably not that much, more like 20 to 30 issues of the X-Men back in the room over there, but it was never really my favorite thing, but I always thought the X-Men movies were rather well done, and they did a good job in the beginning of making them realistic, but I still think they changed the material too much, so I think now, if this is a good indication of where they're going with it, they're kind of going back to the comic roots, then I think, that would be a really good indication that maybe the next X-Men movie might, be a notch above what we've been getting, because, to be honest, everything past fucking X2 is kind of meh, Days of Future Past was actually pretty good, I thought, but could have been better, and so it's kind of, starting to improve, so we'll see. So anyhow, if you haven't seen it yet, it's good. The Deadpool movie, getting back to that, it's it's funny, really, really funny. It's racy, as far as a superhero movie can be racy. It has some good action in it. It's got lots of nice ass kicking, and it treats the material well, and and I think it's a success. So go see it. Adios.